Welcome to another live edition of the Real Estate Show, South Florida one program about real estate and America's longest running daily radio show, all about the topic of, well, you guessed it, real estate. And we are here live Monday through Friday. That's 5 days a week at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are here 5 different ways. So whether you're coming to us on the AM dial at 1470 on the AM dial, whether you're on the FM dial at 95.3 or 96.9, as an example, on our FM dial, all of those are available on the radio apps that you can download for free on your computer. And all you have to do is, whether it's on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, or the what is the other one? The radio.com. WWNN has their own app as well. So you just go to any one of those apps, download them for free, and search for 1470 WWNN, and you'll get it crystal clear right through the app. Fourth way that you'll get us is also on our website. Now, might be the best, most reliable. Go to our website at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com. On that website, you can hear us simply by going to the top of the page. Click on the Listen Live button for the Real Estate Show. Listen Live if you're there at 5, or you can download any of the past recordings. You can even download the podcast version and take it with you. So lots and lots of different ways for you to be able to hear the show. And in fact, you can even watch the show, because the fifth way that you can follow us is on our Facebook page. And there I see my good friend Sam from California already on the Facebook Live. And Noel is jumping on. So you can watch the show, send us comments, give us your likes and your thumbs up. We appreciate those. Share the Facebook page. It helps us get the word out there more and more. So as you know, we're here Monday through Friday, and today, being our Wednesday show, is our midweek report. I got a great show in terms of information. Our conversation this week was talking about, what's the status of the moratorium on evictions? What's the status on the moratorium for foreclosures? Many people want to know, what's the outlook? How much longer are these going to be in place? And that's why I wanted to share with you one of the things that we're very involved in the background is with a lot of the lenders. We talked for, in fact, an entire week about the institutional buyers, what they're looking for, what they prefer, and what they don't want, and how working with them, whether you're an investor or whether you're a homeowner, is great information. So go back, I think it's 2 weeks, because last week we spent the week talking about a different topic. And this week, as I mentioned, the moratorium, landlords. And I started talking because yesterday, which is our Tuesday's Tools, Tips, and Techniques, I was sharing some of the inside information that I learned from a meeting that we were at in the REO business. And these are the top brokers and the top institutions that are right now gearing up. And this is the key thing that I wanted to share. They are gearing up. So it's not a matter of if they will lift the moratoriums. We all knew that. It's a matter of when. And when they do that, and in particular, how they do that. As you can see, we have extended the moratorium. I lost count. It was originally 3 to 6 months back in March. So let's just go March. There's 1, then 2 to June, then another 3 months in September, then another 3 months in December. And so there's 5 extensions in 2020. Then we have the ones, so far this year, by the election, you saw that they extended it to the end of January. Then they extended to the end of March. Now it's pretty much extended to the end of June. And so the big question is, will they extend it again to the end of September, which is, I've heard some of the rattlings out there that was a target date. Now, it's in the interest of the government and the economy, and even, of course, for some of the renters out there, that if they do extend it, because what they're trying to do is sort of provoke a soft landing. There's going to be a landing, so the market, which is flying, high on all 8 cylinders right now, if you were to suddenly lift the restrictions on the moratorium, then you know that between lenders and frustrated landlords, there's going to be a rush to the courthouse, and there's going to be a rush of foreclosures. I have also said that there is a large amount of money on the sidelines right now. There are a number of investors right now with big bank accounts, and I'm talking about individual investors like you and I. I'm talking about institutional investors, hedge funds, money funds. You're looking at banks, and this is what's going to lead to some of the news, because on Wednesdays is my midweek report. I always like to go out into the news and find out what are some of the latest developments. I mean, you can't get much later of a development than what I was talking about yesterday about my meeting with the REO heads of the industry. So what I want to do, and let me see if I can jump back into my notes a little bit from there, but the news right now, and I'm going to give you just a little bit of a flavor of what we're going to touch on today. For example, and remember, one of their sort of, it may have been a revelation to a lot of you, because most people are used to hearing that banks are not in the real estate business. And I told you yesterday that used to be true up until about 2010. And since then, it's been a whole new ball game. Institutional investors, banks are in the real estate business, and no longer just in the commercial buildings and and large multifamily. On the residential side, they were only in one big roof, lots of units. And it was a struggle back in the Great Recession when they were trying to figure out, it's easy to manage one big building. You stick a manager in that building or a team in that building, and they can manage everything. What happens when the properties are scattered all over, not just the town, not just the county, but all over the country? And so you may have, a portfolio of loans or mortgages or houses that literally could be scattered in all 50 states. And so they've learned to deal with that. They've learned to, how to sell, trade, repackage, and so forth. And then there were the big funds, the Invitation Homes, the Capstones, the Blackstones, that really made a killing in 2010 all the way up to 2016. You notice they're kind of quiet right now. Why? Number one, is because they got big portfolios and they're managing them well. Some of them have even already sold their portfolios into the strength right now. Hey, Kenny. And then you've got the issue of the software, the property management, and so forth, which was, they found the right outsourcers. But listen to this. Here's one of the headlines I want to share with you. Default servicers, and I want to tell you what a default servicer is, but default servicers are investing in REO home improvements. What does that sound like? Okay. And so a vast majority of the default servicing professionals are investing in what the article says, significant REO property improvements to increase resale values in this hot market. In fact, I got to tell you the story. Today, I was on the phone with an asset manager dealing with a short sale that I currently am working on right now. And when I explain the story behind it, you're going to wonder, where is the logic? People on the move. Mortgage industries are hiring, and new job appointments for the week just passed. There's a ton of them. Foreclosures sold to investors, and here's an interesting one too. Think about the implication of this one, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into these articles. But foreclosures sold to investors. And when they say investors here in this publication I'm talking about, we're talking about institutions, between institutions. likelier to be owner occupied in a year. Listen to what they're saying here. Foreclosures that they're going to take back, that they're going to sell to other investors, are much likelier to be owner occupied in a year. So that means a lot of people who are sitting in homes right now thinking that everything is calm, cool, and quiet, that once they lift these bans, their properties will go through the foreclosure process. And even before they're asked to leave or required to leave, those properties will be resold again. And P.S. investors, and stay tuned because I'm going to come back to this later, therein lies a very cool opportunity right in the midst of that. And that's why that caught my attention. Do you guys remember the name Ben Carson, right? The former Secretary of Housing under the Trump administration. I saw in a separate one here that he was recently appointed to the board of D.R. Horton Homes. I wonder why they did that. And so that is, let me see if there's a couple other ones on this site. Not Your Father's Home Flippers Again. A more sustainable approach to home flipping is a responsible one that benefits not just real estate investors, but also the neighborhood, local economy, and even the eventual resident. And so, and it's kind of interesting. They had some some charts showing the median flipping transaction, and you see them going down from the individual flippers, right? Because they can't find really good deals or buy them at the wholesale numbers. And yet, remember, I've been talking about the institutional investors, and you see their chart is like this, going along here. Individual, institutional. Remember, I said that they were going to be buying. They're going to even pay at a market. Kind of another interesting little conversation from yesterday with some of our coaching clients in terms of how to deal with the institutional investor, and when is the right time to use an institutional buyer like the OfferPads, the Zillows, the Open Doors, and the Redfins that will come in. You don't even have to list your property. They'll come in and make an offer directly, cash on the barrel, close in the period of time that you want. Is it highest price that you want, or is it convenience that you want? If it's highest price, go to the market. If it's convenience that you want. But what's interesting right now, and this is a window of opportunity for sellers, is that going straight to the iBuyers, you may find yourself getting market value because of what I just told you. And they're going to do that now, basically because they have to. If they want to get market share, they got to compete with the retail end of the market as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a quick break here. A few words from our sponsors. When we come back, I want to talk about the home improvement. The banks are no longer in the real estate business, and we're going to talk about how REO firms look out for new mission metrics as they become investors as well. So you're listening to The Real Estate Show on our Midweek Report Wednesday. Don't touch that dial. My name is Eric Willner. I'm your host, and I will be right back. Robert Schwarzkopf, how are you? Welcome to our Facebook Live. I think our image is much better today, isn't it? We had to have AT&T come in. We were having problems with failing internet, and so we kind of went for a little boost and ended up getting a new modem out of the conversation. Hopefully you guys are getting a clear picture and a steadier picture with a better internet connection here as we Zoom. I was talking yesterday. Yesterday I was on so many different Zoom meetings, Zoom appointments, and Zoom conference or workshops that I was consumed by it all day, and kind of zoomed out by the end of the day. What do you guys think? So take note. In fact, if we could type into the comments the following number, I'd appreciate it. It's 561-861-2366. That is our smart text line. That's 561-861-2366. So I'm going to give out a couple of smart text numbers for some free stuff. And we're coming back. You still fighting a good fight, Mr. Schwarzkopf? And welcome back. For those of you just joining us here on the Real Estate Show, my name is Eric Willner. I'm your host, and you are listening to South Florida's #1 program about real estate. We are also listening to America's longest running daily radio show all about the topic of real estate. And here on our midweek Wednesday, talking about the REOs, the up and coming REOs. And kind of an interesting thing is that the government right now is collecting a lot of data, and one government agency is committed to collecting new data about foreclosure sale outcomes, not even prevention, outcomes during the current lull in activity. And the industry hopes that it won't lead to developments that bog down the market later. Something to watch for. Here's a cool and an interesting topic also. In fact, there's two more headlines that I really want to share with you. Number one, zombie foreclosures dwindle in the first quarter, but could be on thin ice, okay? And basically what they're talking about is while foreclosure, the moratorium is keeping the overall numbers down, right? And I keep telling you, that's artificial support, keeping those numbers down. Zombie foreclosures, we haven't heard that term since the big, the Great Recession, when they were talking about the zombie foreclosures. Those are the empty houses that, nothing was happening on them. In fact, one of the interesting things, and this is one more thing for you to take note, whether you're an investor or whether you're a homeowner, is that the other kind of cute little metaphor that they use the zombie foreclosures with is that you can walk away from a foreclosure. And that's why we say, don't ever walk away from a foreclosure. If you're wondering what to do or don't have anything to do, give us a call. And I'm going to give the number out in just a second, but give us a call. We can help you, we can advise you, and we can prevent foreclosure if you'll let us. Remember, for investors, we solve the problem. No down payment, no problem. We can talk about that. For first-time home buyers, especially, no problem. For investors, no credit, no problem. We can talk about that. And also no income, that's a different discussion, but we can have all those discussions. So there's not a problem in real estate that we can't solve. And that's why write down our toll-free number. The toll-free number is 888-595-7779. That's 888-595-7779. That's to call us. If you want to visit us or send us a message, the best place is automaticlandlord.com. There's a place right on the first page. In fact, we have a new feature on our website, brand new, days old, where you can have a live chat right then and there. In fact, and the live, it can even, if you request to talk to a human being, it'll set you right over. If you just want certain questions that we are answering all the time, it's all programmed. Thank you, Automatic Landlord. Here we go again. So it's all automated. Go to automaticlandlord.com. There, it is the best you can find out there. You can listen to our show live. You can retrieve old shows. You can learn a bunch, and you can get all of your questions answered at automaticlandlord.com. So back to the zombie foreclosures. What they're saying here is that while the moratorium is keeping them down right now, the zombie foreclosure rates jumped in a majority of states, according to Adam Data Solutions. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But what some of the lenders now who have either lost patience or feel that the timing is right, remember, the moratorium did not apply to every property. It only applied to those properties that involve Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, and Ginnie Mae. So if it was not a government or quasi-government related mortgage, it actually wasn't required. Now, most of the banks fell in line because they didn't want to be the bad guys in the pandemic. But as the states open up, as the pandemic becomes, a second tier problem, then what you're going to start seeing is that the landlords that have been patiently waiting without payments on their properties. Remember, COVID. This was a COVID related, and so now the judges are going to require proof that it was a COVID related, and generally what they mean by COVID related, they want to see that you tested positive, that you were treated, and that it was legitimately COVID related. If it was a loss of job due to COVID, they're gonna require that employer to verify that you lost your job. The free ride, if there was one, is about to be over. So that's an important thing. So watch out. So we've got the zombie foreclosures coming up. So these are foreclosures on properties that were basically walked away. And a lot of people, believe it or not, did that at the beginning, thinking that, because it was a pandemic, nothing was going to resolve itself, and therefore might as well just, move back in with the folks or something. Then they were talking about last month's foreclosure activity doesn't reflect market reality. Another important article. And basically what they're saying is that with President Biden extending the moratorium, foreclosures hit an all-time low. So, right, you would say, great news, all-time low. Foreclosures are at an all-time low as millions of delinquent borrowers, now that's not a good part of the story, avoided entering the process, according, again, to Adam Data Solutions, which is now one of the major players in the data gathering and the big data. And one more thing, FHFA, the Federal Housing Finance Authority, extends foreclosure ban as borrowers' struggles persist and costs rise. So one word of advice to those of you out there that are in forbearance: if you don't need to be in forbearance, the sooner that you get yourself out of there, that is what I recommend, is to get off of the forbearance. If you have questions about it, certainly contact us on our website at automaticlandlord.com. We've got a lot of information in that department that we can help you out, advise you, and in the very end, help you. Another article: foreclosure activity drops in 2020 as the backlog builds up. And so these are the headlines that you're not seeing in your local paper. These are the headlines in the national mortgage news, in the industry publications, that amongst the different companies, whether it be, and I promised you I was going to tell you about the default servicers and what that is. So when you get a brand new mortgage, right, you go to your local bank, let's just say. You could go to your local mortgage broker, a local bank, but you go to somebody to get a mortgage, and they approve you for a mortgage, and they set for a closing. Many times, by the time that you get to the closing table, who you signed your application with, especially in the case of a broker, you signed your application with the broker, but a lender now has been appointed to you, and they are now who lent you the money. Anytime between that time and the closing, and between the closing and the time you get your first coupon, it can change again. Mortgages are traded almost like baseball cards. And then a company is hired to collect the payments on that mortgage for whoever owns the mortgage at that point. So you may deal, when you call the 800 number, with your mortgage servicer. Now, when a property goes into default, that servicer may lose the contact point at that point and pass it over to a default servicer. And these are the people who, when people are not paying, when the borrowers are not paying, they go check on the house, whether it's vacant or not, on the condition of the property. If it's abandoned, they'll go there, change the locks, lock it, winterize it, do all sorts of things there. And that's your default servicer, which are quasi-property managers. And that's the next subject we'll talk about tomorrow. We'll get back into this whole REO conversation, and we're going to talk about the money. Remember, Thursdays is our ATM edition. Talk about the money. And that's what the subject will be tomorrow. So we hope that you'll join us here. We're out of time for today's show. We'll be back again, same place, all 5 different places, same place tomorrow, same time, 5 p.m. So until then, this is your host, Eric Willner. Contact us at Automatic Landlord. Until then, meanwhile, drive safe, wash those hands, and make it a great day. Bye-bye. Simone from Boca Raton is on the line. Thank you, my friend. Have a good night. And that's a wrap for another show. Do you know that for 22 years, think about this and do the math, 22 plus years, we're going to hit our 23rd year next April, 5 days a week. That would be 5 times 52, 250 or so shows a year times 20 years. We must be in the 10,000 show range. Kind of an interesting thought. What made me think about that right now is that would be the episode 100 of the podcast or something. Anyway, that's my Skype call that I got to take care of for the short sale. I will be back again, same place tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye. The entrepreneur's secret. Oh my God! And look at that. He's still on his one knee. What's up, my friend? You cut out. That's true. That's true. Is that what that's about? That's good. Man, so did you guys have a chance to take credit for which? The whole movement against Copernicus? Good. Me neither. Me either. I stand for my flag. Yeah. 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 Same here. Did anybody hear the recording of it? So I'm sitting in my quote unquote studio, which is not where I took the call. So my notes are not in front of me. But the bottom line is, that it's kind of the finger pointing. We don't have the authority. We just repeat. And I explained a lot about the fact that 3 times now we have had a number and we complied with the number, and each time a new number appears. And she was explaining to me, because I was explaining to her a little bit about how a real estate transaction normally happens. And she was saying, well, I've been in the business for 30 years. And I says, well, then explain to me that normally when you have an offer made, my client made an offer, the offer is countered. And then when the other party doesn't counter but accepts the counter, we normally have a deal. We have a contract. And each time you're telling me that no, that's just the one person, and then they have to take it to the other person. And what they're saying is that first, Shell Point collects the data, collects the offer, and then presents it to the investor. If the investor is okay with it, he sends it to the MI. The MI who countered it comes back and then says, did the investor approve it? And I said, well, when does this circle end? And that's kind of where we left off. It was not productive, except for right now we're basically back to square one. Okay. But what we did learn, and Daryl, I'd even like to hear if you've heard of this before, because this was a new twist that came up in the process. One of the Shell Point representatives, Tyrus, said that, well, if the short sale isn't going well, why don't you ask for a settlement? And we said, well, what's involved in a settlement? She says, oh, you just make a settlement offer, and then if they like the number, they'll take it. And I said, well, why didn't anybody tell us that in the beginning before we went through all of the short sale gyrations? So we went for the settlement and they countered us at 149, I think it is. Again, I don't have my notes, but let's just say that that's the number. And so that is different than the short sale, which they always give you a net number. And what I was trying to get from her is that if I came to your settlement number hypothetically today, which is unlikely because if I have to add in the negotiated second junior lien and I have to add in the closing costs and I have to add in taxes, we're at the last appraisal, by the way, came in at 174. She did share that with us. So first of all, Daryl, have you heard of a settlement agreement in the middle of a short sale? Right. Right. So anyway, so this was a midstream thing, and of course, what we asked them, if we go for the settlement, will we negate the short sale that's in process? And the bottom line is that it does. You know, that's not what was said. That's not what was said, but that's what happened. The short sale was declined because of the settlement request, which yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was a different story. So here's yeah, and what we have is we have nobody willing to make a commitment to a number. And I suspect here's the problem. It's sort of the twist in the story. Now, we successfully did negotiate a settlement with the junior lien because right now, and she admitted that what I said was true, it is impossible to close on this house because Serge knows this, but I have a secondary, I have an investor that offered to buy Serge out. Okay. And that's something that we were considering, you know, at this point, if we can take some money, if they want to buy his place, so to speak, but even if that person could buy Surge out, they're going to run into the same problem that having to go the first mortgage on Juan Taban, the owner's primary residence, put a blanket lien on everything that he owns. And so that is a 200,000 or 100 and whatever it is. There's not nearly enough equity in this property to do it. We got a great settlement of $5,000 for them to release the lien. If we had our original counter offer accepted, all the numbers lined up, and Serge had his buyer on the other side until the goalpost moved again. Uh, 6 years. Ye- and she's telling me how junior lien holders, as if they're the bad guys, she said the junior lien holders know that they can't be foreclosed, so they're not negotiating. Well, that's contrary to what I just explained. And what's that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, normally because they can get foreclosed out, but right now they can't. So that's why I was telling her, I said, listen, we can't, I can't close this property. Let's say you tell me, because I said to the supervisor there, it says, so basically my borrower has given me a deadline until Friday to either accept the number or, and I don't know if you've been in the business for 30 years, I don't know how many times a buyer will pay out of his pocket to turn on the electric to preserve a property he hasn't even bought yet. you know, and he's going to turn it off. This property has been broken into, vandalized, and I don't believe that your repair numbers reflect the correct repairs that are required for this property. But you would think that, given what you just told me, that the you can't foreclose on the second, and I negotiated the second. You can't foreclose on the first, so this thing could keep could dragging on. It seems like the investor will make more money by getting this property off his books at a very fair price than he will by taking it back, doing the repairs, and then trying to sell it at full market value after. And I guarantee you guys have underestimated the repairs. Do you have that, Serge? Shell Point is the servicer, which is absolutely a nightmare. Yep. Yeah, and in a rising market, there's actually a benefit to that, because they've got the backup. At a certain point, if they dick around enough, they'll actually in a black. They're not at a loss at all. But you'll probably enjoy listening to the conversation a little bit, because she was telling me how the market value was 174, but the present value of the loan of just the principal on the loan is 247. That the past due amount on top of that is 290,000, and that the amount, the debt is over 500. And I said, we can keep track of that 500 number, but that's a fictitious number, because you can wait as long as you want. You're not going to get that number in the next 10 years. Just because somebody owes it, that doesn't mean. And the owner of the whose listing I have is on unemployment. So, while Jesus can make wine from water, you can't get blood from a rock, and you're not going to get money from a guy who's broke with more liens against him than money that he'll probably ever make back. Yeah. So when the uh, when the foreclosures first happened in 2008, what we used to do as a way to show to the lenders, we whatever the balance was on the mortgage, that's what we listed it for. And then of course they would call back and it says, how many offers had you had? We said, well, none, because this $500,000 listing is worth 200,000 right now. What would you like me to do? And they would say, well, get us the market comparables, and then they would be reasonable, because the debt is irrelevant at this point. Yeah. And Bank Atlantic was the other property. Yeah, makes sense. Um, yeah, in fact, I was telling Serge yesterday, and I'm going through this certification for an REO agent. And I was in a class with the servicers. Right now, the servicers are lining up the REO agents right now, and they're actively recruiting the REO agents. And with my property management experience, and I've got all the credentials that they need, and they're going to be, in fact, there's a new little structure in the background. But just on the radio show that I just got off of, I was explaining that you've got your lenders that you borrow from, who then of course sell it off sometimes between when you made application and didn't even close yet, or between the closing table and your first coupon. And if not, then soon thereafter they trade these mortgages like baseball cards. And so who you're normally dealing with is a servicer. But when the property goes into default, the servicer now is changing, and they have what are called default servicers. And the default servicers, you're going to get a kick out of this, because this is an article I was just talking about on the radio. Let's see here. Default servicers. What's that? Oh, yeah. Absolutely, positively. I mean, I only run into Shell Point on defaulted. I don't know anybody that's currently paying a mortgage to Shell Point. But there's an article that was in National Mortgage News. The vast majority of default servicing professionals are investing in quote unquote significant REO property improvements to increase resale values in a hot housing market. That's that's inside a headline. That's not what the public is reading. Here's another cool one, Daryl. Foreclosures sold to investors likelier to be owner occupied in 1 year. That one caught your attention, right? That they just tipped their cards that they fully intend to foreclose with or without you in the property. In fact, it almost sounds like they might like you in your property until they sell it, and protects the property physically right now. It ain't gonna be like, oh wait, I've been saying this for over a year, you know, and even when I hear guys like Cam, go out there talking about the foreclosure tsunami, it is gonna be, it's gonna be swift and short. Nope, nope. I've got a short laundry list. I've got a short laundry list, like more than half a dozen, probably somewhere between 6 and 18 iBuyers right now. I have a buy order from each one of them. My problem is finding, the deals that match the criteria. But I'm going to tell you this: there is so much money between the Zillows, the OfferPads, the Open Doors, the Redfins, and a bunch that you and I have never even heard of. Yep. Yep. No, there's another article. I could be sending you articles because I'm very dialed in. That's what I've been doing. I'm back in the mortgage business. In fact, you and I actually we need a catch up call. But yeah, going to have billed against you that will be, for training that I'm giving, rather than send people consulting fees to train new people. I'm doing it this way so we can get the and help you guys. You guys need All righty. Well, it comes up as potential spam. I'll call you. I'll call you. What's that? Yep. All right. Good night. All right, Serge. I just stuck around to see if there's any particular determination that you wanted to or position you wanted to take. Well, yeah, I have till Friday to have a determination. For me to say either it's a green light or no light. Yeah. Not really, not in the short term. um, Listen to the recording and see if it gives you any ideas. We can discuss it, and then what we can do is in the next day or so. I was just thinking to myself right now of sending just notifying them and saying that I've received a withdrawal letter of the offer, just to sort of officialize it. Um, I'm toying with the idea. I'm going to look at the contract that which I didn't really go into detail, until you were interested or not interested in from the investor at 160. Um, I'm going to see what she says. What conditions, if any, because I know that she's chomping at the bit, and she's going to be an owner occupant, owner occupant investor, realtor, all of the above. So, but she even made the comment that they're going to have to do some of the repairs themselves to make it worthwhile, but they're trying to move into that area. But the other thing is, um, at what point do I take it out of pending status? And that's why I'm debating whether and when to send the withdrawal letter. Because there's plenty of people at the list price that it was at 105, and I get calls, I would say at least once a month to, 2-3 times a month, that I'll get a call from somebody asking me what's the status, and I usually say, no, it's a solid buyer, and I kind of blow it off. But if I were to put it back on the market, I'm thinking to myself, how high would I list it at? Anyway, listen to the recording. You think about it. I'll think about it, and then let's reconvene Friday. But you go ahead and save yourself the utilities dollars, because the you know everything is uncertain at this point. But as long as I control the listing right now, no one else can buy it. So she no, and I while I did think about it, um, at this point it wouldn't matter. Because until she basically said they can't do anything. They're not even negotiating with the second junior lien holders because nobody can foreclose. And even though she wasn't helpful in the sense of giving us any kind of real concrete direction. She was not adversarial on this call at all. She did not cop her usual attitude and so forth. So I didn't go there with her on that one today. And the way I thought about it is that might be better instead of threatening, because people threaten all the time, is to I got to call Juan next and just tell her that that Juan is now consulting. Not that he will if, but he is. Yeah, that I conveyed the year-long process with the investor, and that we weren't able to get any kind of a concrete agreement, even when we met the counters, that he became upset, and he said he's going to take his own actions. But I wanted to do it as it's happening, and maybe that'll get them off, because it's not too late. If he gets an attorney involved, it's not too late for them to come back and say, okay, well, we'll take this. Yeah, we'll do. You got it. You're welcome. Bye, Ariane. You're welcome. Good job.